Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. Today is May the 19th, and I have a sad story for you because I went to look at our little cardinal babies and there was a big old black snake in there. So I don't like snakes. And I'm sure there's a mother and father cardinal out here grieving somewhere. But these are the little plant pots that I want to try to get to today, or at least soon. I've got to make some kind of showing on this little job of filling up my containers. And last night we had some winds that came through and knocked all these over, and I've had to repot them. And then I've got one in the back that needs some help too. That one that's always falling over. And then all my little tall angels that have a tendency to fall over were all down. I still need to put some of those back up and glue them on their little posts. This heat is just oppressive already, and it's May. I hope that's not just an example of what's to come. This side though actually does look pretty good. I've got everything over here, something in it, and I'm ready to let this one just grow. And I've got to keep, that insecticide on them to keep the snails away or at bay, because they are looking good and I surely don't want to lose them again. This little pot's even looking good, and it doesn't have anything with root on it, but it is building a root. So we'll see. I think it will work. This little one was building a root, and I think it's already built its root now. I thought about taking today off because I had a pain in my right leg that just kept jerking me. It was a nerve pain. But once I finally got calmed down enough to go to sleep, it stopped while I was sleeping, and I did sleep good. When you find something that works so well, you want to do it again. Well, that's what I did with this little watering can last year, or one like it. I think I've already got something else in it, or anyway, I found this one, and I tried some Gara in it, which didn't work, but I tried it in 2 other places, which, come to think of it, is probably one that I had this little begonia in last year, or one like this little begonia. But I loved it in this watering can, so I cut a little bit more off of this one so it have a little bigger hole I can put it in there. And I'm going to set this right down in there, and it works so nice because it's just tall enough to give it some give it enough place where it can hang over and drape and look beautiful. Plus it'll just grow up tall, and I just loved it in there, and I'm going to do that again this year, and hopefully it'll do as well or better. So there, now I think it will have enough greenery to drape over both sides of this little pot, and I'll find a spot to put that here in a little bit. And I wanted to show you that I did get some impatiens in these little pots, which don't look a whole lot right now, but they will eventually if they do well, and I'm always hope for them to do well. That also, I did this in that heat, and I just about played out. That heat is just really getting to me, but today is gorgeous. It's just so beautiful out today. Time, as always, is marching right along. This is the last part of spring, and this right here is a sign that summer is on its way. The daylilies are blooming. And this is another sign. The daisies are beginning to open up. We had another graduation in our family yesterday, and I also stopped at some nurseries, and look what I found. I found the double petunias that I've been looking for. And these are the purple that I was looking for. This one's faded, but it's going to be perfect for where I want it. And this, I usually go for the brighter colors, but I've had one of these before too, and they just kept going and going and looking so beautiful. So I'm hoping this will do that again. And so anyway, I'm sure I'll find places for those. I found this rose-colored salvia, and I'll just show you the little tag because I'll never get it right probably if I don't, but it's called Sally Rosa Jumbo Pink Salvia. So, and actually I have some of this. I didn't realize that I did until I got home, and I thought, oh wait, I do have some of that. But that's okay. I think I'll divide this one and actually put it in two different places. I found a little bit of rose moss. I want quite a bit more than this, and I love, I love begonias. So here, this is the little, I don't know if this like little baby blooms. They're so cute, so sweet. Let's see what it's called, actually called doublet rose. So, and that's a pretty little thing. And yes, I did. Look what I did. I don't know whether to be proud of me for jumping back on and trying again, or to be upset at me for trying something I pretty much know I can't do. But this is a beautiful begonia. I just didn't resist. There was many more I wanted, but I did just get one, so maybe that's a good thing. And then I found these pretty little floss flowers some more. Pretty much the periwinkles are standards for me because they usually handle the Oklahoma heat and winds and all the elements that we have in nature. And then I found this is a pretty little, you can't tell right now because it's not in bloom, but this is a purslane moss, and look at what color it is, this little double color with pink and yellow. So I'll be anxious to get those in the ground. We have a beautiful day today. It is Sunday, and I probably won't get a whole lot done other than watering. I do hope to go ahead and get some watering done today, but it's not desperate, even though we didn't water yesterday because we were gone most of the day. But the weather is just so nice, so unbelievably nice after the last few days we've had of extreme heat for May. But anyway, it makes a person feel excited about gardening. I wish we could have many more days like this with the weather like it is today. Look at my butterfly weed. It went ahead and opened its pretty blooms up. I did notice though that my little impatient that I was hoping would live here is dead. It's not going to make it. But I think that's maybe the only one, so I don't know if I can find another one this color. I will look, but I did notice that I have one planted in another spot with some others, and I can take it out and put it in this spot right here so that it'll all be full of the same color, which is what I want. So I'll probably do that if I can't find one this week. Oh, I want to get so much done this week. I can't even begin to tell you. But I would like to get my hoses fixed that I have lined out to be soaker hoses, since I'm having a hard time finding anything else that I can afford and that will actually work because of the gyp, the hard water deposits in our well water that I use to garden, to water the garden. And I got regular hoses with holes poked in them, which worked fairly well last year, but by the end of the season, some of the holes had turned into geysers and the smaller holes were just stopped up. So I've got to deal with that this week because that is a hard thing to deal with in the extreme heat. and something that totally must be dealt with so that I can water the garden. We actually are in line to get some rains this week. I hope we get them. I hope we get, every time we have a chance to get them, I hope we get rain. That would be wonderful. And then also that we have time and get out here and get things done. There is so much to do. There's still quite a bit of planning. There's some dividing and moving things around. There's, of course, the hoses I told you about. I have no idea how long that will take me, but it should take a while, but hopefully I can get that done, and then I can water and just feel a whole lot better about things. This little area once had creeping Jenny in it, but we, as you may remember, we had a maple tree here and we had to take it down and we lost some of it, so it would probably go ahead and grow back from this little remaining creeping Jenny, but I've got some in the back that really doesn't need to be there, so I'm going to try to do that today where the ground is soft. I'll dig it up and put it here, and it's cool, so I'm thinking it should and hopefully will just take hold and go. And when we went to my great nephew's graduation, we stopped and got some things, and I actually did find a lot of the stuff that I was needing. So I'm going to try to actually use these hose menders to mend where my hoses that I've got set out to use for soaker hoses, where some of them have became geysers and others seem to be stopped up, but I've got to get those working again enough to depend on them this summer, and so that I can do other things while it's watering for me. I want to get so much done while the weather's cool enough to do it, because it will be back to being scorching hot before we know it. I would like to get some trimming done before it gets too hot. All of my roses are needing trimming, absolutely every one that I have with this old the ones that have faded off, so that new fresh ones can come on. But my clematis or clematis is looking great. It just loved the rain. I think it put on fresh new blooms just because. And right here is the area where I'm going to pull some of this up and put it there in the front. And I got this little container garden and the one right up here, and I'll go up there and show it to you a little closer. But I got these done the night before we got our rains that kind of set in just perfectly, because they came slow and then quit and then started again, and we just got a wonderful, wonderful rain. And I put, of course, the periwinkle in here, and the more creeping Jenny. I actually got this from that place I just showed you, because I don't really need it there. It'll just grow out into my walkway, and I put it around this. I think it will grow down and trail down all around this little cone planter, which should be very pretty. And then, because it's a perfect time to do this, I clipped these and put them in with this little one. And this little redhead coleus, I'm thinking I put it where it's going to get so much shade that it may not even look like a redhead. So I'm going to take some little clippings from it and hope to get them started somewhere else. I will leave this one here. I think it's pretty even as a darker red, but I would love to have some of that where the sun can shine on it and get the full beauty of the red. And after a good rain is a perfect time to do that, when it's a little cooler and they can get a root started. And sometimes they just go right on without a hitch, but then other times this will die back. But if it builds a root, you can clip the dead part off and it will go ahead and grow from that little root that it builds. This is a rain gauge. Just a little over 1.5 inches. And this little pot got pretty much the same thing as the pot I just showed you with the pretty little periwinkle or vinca. And I got one of the pretty, I think this is pink and white too, the pale one, but it does so wonderfully. You don't even notice the fact that it's pale. You just notice the fact that it's beautiful when it really gets going. And then another one of that same little coleus. But I think this will grow up to be beautiful. And I love this little angel as part of this container garden. I may even be able to get this little pot down in the ground. I don't know if it's soft enough to do that, but I think this is a good time to try if I have the time, which I better get busy so I can see how much time I have. I did lose the chrysanthemums that I had in this pot, so that's another job I need to do, is to refill this with pieces from the ones I already have started in the garden. I think I want to try again to get various colors in this. The fruit is coming on. This is blackberry. I would also like to finish filling out this little pot with some of the things that I recently purchased while we had some downtime in the garden. And this little pot, I need to finish it up. I just put some little, these are verbenas in here. And I have something, I'm not sure what's trying to come up there, as little seedlings from last year. But I may leave them and see. If they're a flower, I'm sure they'll be great. But if they're a weed, of course they'll have to be pulled up later. But I want to go ahead and fill this out and put something else in there. And I need to put something in all these little pots where they died out. I'm thinking just some diantha starts. Look at these beautiful lilies. You can tell that spring is almost gone and summer is on its way. And that rain came at a perfect time where I just put this wormwood in. And I know it doesn't look so great right now because it's all damp, but I'm thinking that will help it get its little root in and going good. And this is that beautiful sedum that turns orange in the fall. And I may take just one more little clipping from this one and start it somewhere. It's a beautiful coleus. I love this pretty pink in the middle of it, or salmon pink. And it also helps the plant itself to fill out and get wider and thicker rather than tall and spindly. Recently, my pastor's wife told my husband that she would like for me to give a little talk to the ladies about flowers. And of course that was just so encouraging. And yet, you know, I'm just learning this with y'all as I go. But what a journey. My husband doesn't like that word. But it's so wonderful to see the plants and see what they will do. They put on quite a show. And of course these are the cherries. And we even have a few peaches. This little pot needs to be filled out too. I had just one little coleus in here and it was looking pitiful, and actually it still is, but not really. It looks good to me because it's growing new little leaves, new growth. That means this will probably take off and go. In my experience, it's been if a plant is slow growing or not doing much, it's putting down roots or building up leaves. If it's alive, don't give up on it, because it'll take a growth spurt and go one of these days in most circumstances. And then also this little pot, I would like to get it going so it'll be full and looking good. And a matter of fact, there's some right up here, these two that I need to get to right here. And I actually thought this little cabbage might come back, but it's not going to. I'll take that out of there and we'll fill these pots up and make them to be beautiful too. and the one there beside it. I want to get some things going in all of these pots. There's still several that I need to fill up. That's why I wanted to go ahead and purchase some more plants and get these full, and then the rest of the summer, if we can stand to be in the heat, we'll just need to water and just watch them bloom and grow. And of course give them some feed. They need some food shortly, but they'll get some from this rain. They always do. When it rains, a little after the rain, you'll see things blooming and growing and just looking great. And I would like to come and cut part of this down because it's right on my path, and I don't really want a snake to pop out of there one day and scare me half to death. I've probably already showed you this, but look at this beautiful yarrow. I like just the plain yellow as well, and the pretty pastel colors, and of course the ballerina white yarrow. And some of my little sedums that I got are beginning to thicken up and look good, which is wonderful to see. And I don't remember if I showed you. I probably did, but I bought 3 clematis or clematis for this season. I need something on this right now, but I know sometimes we just have to wait. There, I just clipped 3 little pieces off of this, and it still looks good, and it will actually help it to fill out and look even better as the season goes on. Okay, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, and I am so tired, and I got lots of planting and transplanting done, but I got almost nothing else done. I didn't get to my hoses or clipping back or any of that, but I'm still pretty proud of what I got done. And it's gonna probably look like practically nothing, but I did get this little one planted and it fell apart, so I put little pieces everywhere, and usually when I do that they just die. But if you watch Mike Kincaid on his channel, you can tell that they do go ahead and proliferate from just a cutting, but I don't usually have a lot of luck with it. I did put some little pieces here that I got from the back, and they don't look so good, and actually I didn't water these in either, and we didn't get more rain today, but it stayed cloudy and nice. It was a wonderful day for doing this, and I'm glad I stayed with it. And I think once I get rested and see it as it grows up, I'll be glad I did. Hopefully we still have a chance of getting rain tonight, so I'm hoping it will water this in for me. I did put some of my little redhead clippings here, and I'll have to find the other one for you. I guess I'm not thinking where I put it. Here. Here's the other little redhead coleus, and so they should be pretty here, and they should get some sunlight and brighten up a little more than they are in the back in that pot. I also just realized that I left a full watering can back here, so I did water this in, but I'm still hoping it gets some rain from heaven to water it in also. This little pot was definitely needing redone, so it has some more of the blue spruce sedum in it. And I did try floss flower here. I don't have much luck with it. I think it needs a lot cooler weather than we have, but it was just so pretty. This pretty blue color was beckoning me when I purchased it, so I put it here and right over here in this pot. I found a snail in this pot. If you find one, there's probably more. So we'll see how long this will last. And I just put some little vinca or periwinkle on either side of this little boy, and they're a peachy color, so that should be pretty in the fall when they're peachy, and this that's green now is a pretty orangey color. And I'm going to have to take that back because actually these will be a pretty peachy orange color, and these are actually not peach colored periwinkle but a purple, a soft purple. So I think those two will be pretty together. Then I just had one little white periwinkle left over here and a little bit of rose moss for this pot, which may be enough, or I may put something else in there later. And I set my little begonia in a clay pot, and I'm hoping it will do well this summer, and usually they do for me as long as I keep them in a clay pot and keep them in the shade and keep them watered. They seem to do fine, but when I take them in, that's where I have my trouble. So we'll see, but I will of course try it again. I won't just leave it out here just because I have a hard time with them, because who knows, maybe someday I'll figure that out. And you know, I didn't do this today. This was my first one, but I did want to show you this little coleus, because I told you if it does what it can do. Look at this, it's that big from one little plant. Now that is not, it may be the only one that did that. My others, some of them died and some of them just look scraggly, but this one, let me show you what it can do. And if it keeps going, it will trail over this and fill out even more and be even more beautiful. And it's called strawberry drop coleus. Here's another one that's just scraggly, but it could also take a little growth spurt and take off and go, or of course it could do just the opposite, but we're going to hope it'll take off and go. This little pot had a marigold, and it got a little purslane moss to go with it. And this little pot already had the little seedlings of celosia that are there in the back. And I just put a little verbena there in front. I think that's going to be a pretty color, and if it fills out all around this pot there in the front, I think it'll be pretty also. I just put some little rose moss in this pot. Just a little spot of green or a little spot of beautiful bloom and color. Just catches your eye, and you can watch things grow and change through the season, and it's just a good feeling when they do well. And I did go ahead and put some of the dianthus in the little pots along the fence. And this little pot got this beautiful orange calabachoa. Oh, I'm hoping it will do well here. And then this is it's called a cigar plant, and I'm not sure what its other name is. I'm not thinking of it right now, but the hummingbirds love this little plant. Then I put a little clipping from a coleus in there, and a little vinca of, I think there's two. Yeah, there's two there, and they are a coral color too, so I think this one could end up shining. And these are more of the dianthus. This is the perennial dianthus, but it didn't come back in the pots, and it probably won't again because they're just too small, not enough protection for them in there. But it's pretty simple to just clip some off or pull some up and put it in the little empty pot and get it going again for this year. And then this little pot, this is white angelonia. This is a sun coleus, vinca or periwinkle. These are, I put two of the beautiful double petunias in there, and as you can tell, they're not blooming, so I don't know what color they are, but I hope they'll still look good in here. They'll trail down and be beautiful if they fill out like I'm hoping they will. And then this, of course, is the little bat flower. I was hoping some of mine would come back, but it didn't, or at least it hasn't yet. But you can tell it really looks like a little bat flying at you there. And it's just a pretty bright color, and I like it. I just put the little doublet begonia in this pot. Look how pretty it looks with that pretty powder blue wormwood or artemisia. And then I put these are bright red impatiens in these 2 pots and in these pots right here, all 3 of them. So last year the impatiens did well in these. They got enough shade that they just kept going. So I'm hoping that will happen again. And since I didn't have to water except for the things I planted to water them in, it gave me this time to do this, even though it's not a great idea to get out in the garden when it's all wet. And yet there are some things you can do best when it's a rainy day, like planting and transplanting, because they don't go into transplant shock. I also put one of the little double petunias right here in this pot, and I think it'll have enough room there to just trail down and be beautiful. I like to see them trail if possible, but just to see that pretty bloom is wonderful too. And this little pot got periwinkle and a little yellow lantana, and I think this kind of has a yellow and a peach blend. And I forgot what I put here. I think these are peach. I think these are a peach periwinkle, and I thought the peach and yellow maybe would play pretty with that. And then just right on over, I did go ahead and do these little pots also. This one has a redbud seed on it, but this one this is Joseph's coat, and then the little periwinkles on either side, and a pretty verbena. So hopefully, I know they don't look like much now, but if they do what they should and what they can, they're going to be gorgeous. This one just got some periwinkle and also another little verbena. And this little pot got periwinkle and rose moss, which both do well in our Oklahoma heat. So I did get several of those, and actually I'm going to have to get some more rose moss. There's several just little pots that I had, and I'll have to do some inventory and see what all I need, because I know this little pot right here I didn't put anything in, and I'll definitely want to put something in it. And this little pot, I thought it looked so good there with that little turquoise angel in that coral orange hummingbird mint, and I'm pretty sure those hummingbirds will find it too, so it'll be fun to watch them, and it just looks good. I also put some little verbena here in front of it. I hope it does well. What color it is, I don't know. We'll see. But sometimes surprises are nice in the garden too. At least those kind of surprises are. This is one of the little cut clematis. And this is another little pot that probably needs just a little sprig of rose moss in there to touch it up and make it look pretty. I put dianthus in these little pots. This one, and I have one on the other end down there. This one. And I put that pretty pink geranium in this little pot, in a coleus, and another one of the pretty double petunias. And I put my little salvia right here along my west fence row, which I think it'll be pretty there too. And then this is another little new plant for today that I put in it, and it's called a crazy daisy. So it looks like it maybe has the fringe looking petals, which I hope it does because I already have just the regular Shasta daisy, but this was called a fringe Shasta, so I'm hoping that it will be one of those that has the pretty fringes. I put my new salvia, this pretty pink salvia, here at the end of this west fence row, and I also found several of the little seedlings last year, but they've already grown up quite a bit for this year, and I put those over here beside it, so we should have both blue and this pink salvia growing right together. And then this was just growing in my path, and it's one of the little prairie cone flowers, and I don't know what color it is, but I thought I would put it here. They also just put down seed and come up like a zinnia does, so I'm hoping it will do that without getting too much out of hand. I'll go ahead and clip most of the seeds off of it, but I would like to have a few of them come up each year. And I did get my little pot setting up, filled up with different colors of mums and watered in, and all this may not look like a lot, but I'm tired and it took me a good long time to do it, but God gave me that time in more ways than one. He watered for me, so I had the time, and he let me be okay as far as the problems I was having with my heart, and so he just gave me that time, and I'm thankful for it and thankful for what I got done, and hopefully we'll just keep going. I'll take inventory and see what else I need to do, and I know there's still quite a bit to do, but it's getting there. It won't be too much longer now, and it's just fun to look at new plants, and I'll look through my seeds and probably plant several seeds too. So thank you for coming along with me today on this Garden Scroll. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.